Hello and welcome to our review of the KWC Mini Uzi CO2 Airsoft Gas Blowback Machine Pistol. The outside of the box features some box art demonstrating semi and full auto capabilities. This is a CO2 powered pistol, or machine pistol depending on your definition, and the box was a little banged up during shipping. This isn't the way it normally looks. Opening the box, you're immediately presented with a product catalog. This is from 2006, pretty much useless at this point. You have an English and French safety warning manual, and then you have some instructions for the gun, which are actually written in pretty decent English, and this is helpful information if you're looking to troubleshoot. The box contains one magazine, full metal, a speed loading plunger type tool, which we'll get into later, a box of 0.2 gram KWC pellets. We wouldn't really recommend using these. There's only about 100 of them, which this gun will go through in a matter of seconds. A front sight adjustment tool, and a metal magazine opening tool, which we'll discuss later. And of course, the highlight, the pistol itself. Let's take a look at what's inside the box. The gun comes with one 40-round magazine. The magazine is full metal and is very solid. It has a metal feed lip as opposed to a plastic one, so it's going to be much more durable. The only markings in the gun, there are no trademarks. All you have are the two metal stoppages that prevent the magazine from going too far into the gun, as well as a 10, 15, 20, and 25 round markers. Those are designed to imitate the real Uzi. This magazine is 40 round capacity. On the front, it's open. You can see the feed spring that pushes the BBs into the gun. Everything works very smoothly. There was no lubrication out of the box, but it runs like a clock. The bottom is open. There is no plate to cover up the obvious CO2 cartridge insertion item, and the way you get the cartridge in is you're going to turn this metal circle with the included key, and once you've turned it enough, it's going to just fall out, and then you're going to see a hole in the magazine. That's where you're going to drop in your CO2 canister. I'll show you loading and firing a little bit later. But once you've gotten the CO2 canister in there, you put it back in, and you basically finger tighten until you can't tighten with your fingers anymore, and then you can take the key that's included, and you can just turn it until you break the seal on the CO2, and then you're ready to fire. The speed loader included is the plunger type. Personally, I don't like these because I don't think they're much better than hand-loading BBs. I think that it's much more efficient to use a speed loader. But if you were to use this plunger type speed loader, you're going to take the plunger out, place the tube on top of the magazine, placing it right where the feed lip is. It'll fit in. Then you'll take the plunger, fill this up with BBs. This is the main problem I have with these. You have to fill these up one at a time with BBs. It's actually very difficult to do. Then you take the stick once it's full, and you push down, which is going to push BBs into the magazine. This is sort of nice if you're looking for an accurate 40 BB count, but personally I don't like these because they're very difficult to use. The magazine's very solid. 40 rounds is a good capacity for an airsoft machine pistol, except for this gun is a real, it fires at an incredibly high rate of fire, so you can burn through this magazine very quickly. But otherwise, it's a very good magazine, and it's a good deal that it comes with the gun. Let's move on to the gun itself. The gun has an all-metal finish that's designed to imitate the Uzi black metal look. It's very military, very utilitarian, not a whole lot of flash on the gun. Starting at the rear, this entire section of the rear receiver is plastic, except for a few parts which I'll point out right now. You've got the wire stock, which can be folded in or out, and you have the swivel stud here, which can be used to attach a sling. One nice thing about this feature is that whether you have the stock in or out, or whether you're folding it or not, you can still have a sling on here, and it's not going to interfere with your usage of putting the stock out or the stock in, depending on your situation. In addition, the rear attachment portion here is very solid. It's very well integrated into the gun and this full metal. However, the rear receiver here and the rear sight are plastic. The first set of trademarks you're going to run into are on the bottom of the gun. They're in very small print. I won't really go into much detail, but basically it's almost like one of those little pieces of paper you get with the gun saying, don't aim this at people, don't use this for battle, only use this for target shooting. And it is annoying, but what's nice about it is actually I owned the gun for a couple of hours before I even noticed it, because it's in very faint engraved printing on the bottom of the gun, and it's barely there. It's out of the way. So if you're going to have a some sort of safety label that's an integral piece of the gun, I'd say this is easily the best way to do it because it's very inconspicuous. Also for trademarks, On the other side of the gun, you have more embossed trademarks. They read Mini Uzi 9mm, IMI MU-CB610-17775. I don't know if that's a unique serial number. I'm really not sure, but these trades look very cool, although they are faint, so I'll probably be filling them in with some paint. So the rear of this gun feels very solid. Even though it's plastic, you can sort of try to move the plastic, make it creak, and it's not really going to happen. Even though the back of the gun is plastic, the top is metal. The main piece of the body that's metal is actually the top cover here. Metal here, metal back to right here. The charging handle is metal, as is this plate here, and right up to the front sight. It feels very good. It's a nice sort of solid metal. It doesn't feel like it's going to bend under stress. The charging handle behind it, you may be able to see there's an imprinted name here. It says, alterations to this firearm are unsafe and illegal. Read manual before operation. I'm not sure whether that's a safety feature put in by KWC, but that does conceivably sound like something that a real firearms manufacturer would put on this location of the gun. It does mention that it's a firearm, and I'm not really sure whether it's supposed to be there or not, whether it's authentic or not, but I won't get into it. From the top hatch here, you can access some of the internals of the gun. You're going to have to push back this little latch in front of the rear sight, and then you're simply going to lift up this back metal cover. As you can see, it's a full piece of metal with a little spring in there to make the charging handle return forward. And then basically you're inside of the gun. We won't go much further than this, but you can see that this is the part that's going to be moving. And you'll see that this is plastic right here. But it is a large, solid chunk of plastic, which is going to lend to some of the fierce blowback that this gun has. You can see a little bit of factory grease here. You'll probably be reapplying that periodically. And then we can even see a little bit of the inner workings of the barrel here. Putting the front back on is very easy. You just hook in this front piece and push down the back. It's almost like an AK, and it clicks over the top, and you're done. One thing to point out here is that this is one of the wear spots on the gun. When you pull back the charging handle, this piece here is actually going to slide just where those two small gray marks are. That's actually paint that's been worn off the gun already. I think it adds a little bit of realism, but just so you know, this is one of the spots where the paint is going to wear off the top of the gun. Moving towards the middle, right here, we have the selector switch. Right here, it's automatic is the front, R is semi-automatic there, and S is safe. In addition to the safety here that's going to prevent you from firing the gun when the gun is on safe mode, you do have a grip safety, and what that's going to result in is if you just try to pull the trigger, nothing is going to happen. You have to actually push this grip safety down with the sort of web of your thumb, and then you can pull the trigger normally. It's a good feature, it's much safer, and if you have the gun on a sling or something and it's bouncing around, it's going to help you out a lot. The trigger is plastic. That was slightly disappointing. It feels solid enough, but plastic triggers are known to be prone to breaking. In addition, the trigger guard is similar plastic, and though it does feel solid, it is slightly disappointing knowing that there's potential for it to be broken. And now we can move down to the magazine well and take a look at magazine insertion.